Someone asks you how you're doing and you pause. You're not necessarily searching for the right words. You genuinely don't know the answer. You've handled everything on your list this week. You've shown up for everyone who needed you. And when someone actually stops and asks what you feel about all of it, you go completely blank. That blankness isn't a flaw. It's actually a signal that something's worth paying attention to. And it makes a lot of sense once you understand how it got there. Think back, not to one specific moment, but to a pattern, the recurring experience of being the one who figured things out, who stayed calm when everyone else didn't, who got things done without being asked twice. Maybe you were the oldest kid who was responsible for your younger siblings. Maybe you were the one your parent leaned on when things got hard. Maybe you were the A student who never asked for help because you'd learned early that being low maintenance kept things smoother for everyone. Whatever the specifics, the message got repeated enough times that it stuck. This version of you works. This is what makes you valuable. And when we build our whole sense of who we are around a role that earns praise or avoids criticism, we stop seeing it as something we do. We start seeing it more as who we are. The dependable one, the one who doesn't make things harder for everyone else. In that version of yourself, feelings were a liability. They slowed things down. Showing emotion got read as weakness or as a burden on people who already had enough to carry. So part of you learned to keep moving instead. The perfectionism piece shows up here too. When you've always managed things well, there's this pressure to keep managing them well. And feelings don't cooperate with that. They're unpredictable. So part of you may have started treating your own emotions as a problem to fix rather than something to feel. So you kept your head down and focused on what you needed to get done. And that worked really well. So well that you eventually stopped noticing you were even doing it. So here's the thing about setting feelings aside over and over. At some point, it stops feeling like a choice. It stops feeling like anything at all. In the beginning, there's probably some awareness. A part of you notices something and dismisses it. But with enough repetition, that process becomes so automatic that it skips the awareness part entirely. The feeling never fully surfaces. What you're left with instead is a vague tension you can't source, a low hum of irritability, a tiredness that sleep just doesn't fix. Those are feelings, but without a way to name what's underneath, they just become background noise, something you chalk up to being busy or overextended. The anxiety piece matters here. A lot of high achievers describe a constant low-level anxiety that doesn't seem connected to anything specific. It's more like a persistent alertness, a sense that they need to keep performing, stay on top of things, and not fall behind. That anxiety is often the emotional experience trying to signal that something needs attention. It's information you haven't had a way to read yet. And somewhere along the way, the whole pattern stopped feeling like a coping strategy and started feeling like a personality. You became the responsible one, the practical one, the person who stays calm in a crisis. You weren't necessarily born that way. You practiced it until it became second nature. I want to tell you about a client I worked with. I'll call her Danielle. Danielle was 41, a director at a healthcare company, and she was the person her whole team brought problems to, and the person in her family who coordinated everything. Her parents' medical appointments, her kids' schedules, basically everyone's logistics. So she came to see me because she'd been waking up at 3 a.m. for 6 months, just awake, heart going faster than it should, no idea why. When I asked what was happening in her life around the time it started, she listed things the way you'd list agenda items. A hard performance review she'd had to give someone she genuinely liked. Her mother's health declining faster than expected. Her own promotion getting delayed without explanation. Then she said, "But those things are just life. I dealt with all of them." That phrase made my ears perk up because what she meant was I took action on all of them. She'd move through every single one of those situations without stopping to feel what was happening. So I asked her, when the performance review was over and you got into your car to go home, what happened? She thought about it and then she said, "I made a grocery list." Danielle wasn't avoiding a feeling she could see. She genuinely didn't have access to it. Her brain went straight to the next task before anything else had room to register. It had made her extraordinarily effective. It had also left her completely alone in her own experience, waking up at 3 a.m. with no idea what her body was trying to tell her. There are specific moments where this pattern tends to show up, so see if any of these feel familiar. Someone asks you what you need and your mind goes blank. You're genuinely excellent at knowing what other people need, but your own needs feel like a different language. Or someone does something kind for you, and instead of feeling good, you feel slightly off balance, like the dynamic shifted in a way that makes you want to fix it. You'd rather be the one giving than receiving. Or when you stop moving, a low-level unease sets in because part of you equates slowing down with falling behind or failure. So the anxiety spikes rather than easing. You can tell someone exactly what you did after something hard happened, but when they ask you how you felt, you describe an action. I just got back to work, or I went for a run. You know what you did, but you can't quite reach what you felt. These patterns are worth paying attention to, not as problems, but as signals. A part of you has been working very hard for a very long time to keep you this functional. That's not something to criticize, it's something to understand. So I want to share 2 small practices. Both are designed to create a brief pause between the automatic impulse to move and an actual moment of checking in. So practice 1 is the 2-second check. So the next time someone asks you how you're doing, before you answer, take 2 seconds and just notice what's happening in your body. Is there any tension, any heaviness? You don't have to name it or share it. You're just starting to point your attention inward. And that's the whole practice. Super easy. Practice 2 is 1 word at the end of the day. So before you go to sleep, ask yourself, if I had to pick 1 word for how I'm feeling in this moment, what would that be? Are you feeling frustrated, anxious, relieved, disappointed, grateful? You're not analyzing it, you're just naming it. Because labeling what you feel is how your brain starts to process it. And processing is how the 3 a.m. wake-ups eventually stop. So neither of these requires you to become someone who talks about their feelings constantly, right? They take about 1 minute, and what they build over time is access to your own experience, which is something you actually deserve to have. The part of you that learned to be dependable and effective did exactly what it needed to do. There's nothing to criticize about that. What I want you to consider is whether you want that to be your whole story. If you keep moving through hard experiences by disconnecting from your emotions, they will resurface in other ways, whether that's physical pain, suppressed immune responses, high blood pressure. You don't have to stop being the person everyone counts on, but you also get to be someone who's attuned to what's happening inside of them. Remember, feelings are messengers. They're here to tell you something. If you want to understand where these patterns come from and why they're so hard to shift on your own, I go into this in my book Unpacked: How to Detach from the Subconscious Beliefs That Are Sabotaging Your Life. The link is in the description. And if something in this video hit close to home, leave it in the comments. I genuinely love to know what it was.